Behind me, I've got my F70 M135, and today we're going to be fitting the first mods. I can fit about 3 fingers in here at the moment. We're going to be putting some eye-back springs and some BMX Spacers on. We're also going to be changing out this stock standard armrest for a nice new M Performance one to match the rest of the interior. So these are all the parts we're going to be fitting today. We've got our BMX Spacers, floating centre caps, M Performance side fender badges, Alcantara armrest, and we're also going to be doing the springs, but they're actually not here yet. So because we've not actually ever fitted spacers on the car before, we're actually going to be testing 3 different sizes. So we've got 10, 12 and 15. We're going to test all the spacer sizes today and find the perfect fitment for the car.
So now it's time to get the car on a ramp and get these parts fitted to the car. Our fitter Kai isn't in today, so I'm going to be taking over, and we're going to catch up with Sam, who's behind the camera at the moment, very shortly. So I'm going to start with the spacers because, as Sam said earlier, the springs haven't arrived yet. Going to get the car up on the ramp now and work out whether 10, 12 or 15 mil is going to be the best setup. Looking at this, I'm probably going to say a 12 mil setup is going to be perfect. As you can see from the clips which I'm overlaying at the moment, the wheel doesn't need that much pulling out of the arch to make it flush with the arch. And we have got to bear in mind when we're lowering this car as well, it's going to close that arch gap a lot more. So we don't want to go too aggressive with the spacer sizes. Now let's get these wheels off and start getting some spacers on. So the first thing I've noticed, the jacking points are very close together. So one sits here and one sits there. They're very sort of tight into the car, so you've got to bear that in mind if you are jacking the car up. So as Sam mentioned earlier, he's actually gone for the floating BMW centre caps. These are basically the same as these centre caps, except for the BMW logo is always going to face upright. So it's really going to help with Sam's OCD. What I'm going to do is just pop all the wheels off now, pop them centre caps in first, and then I'm going to work on trying to find the right spacer size. So before I take this front wheel off, I just wanted to mention something, because these cars run a very big front caliper system, as you can see, and the gap between the wheel and the caliper from factory is very tight. Look, even if I'm trying to wedge a trim tool in between that gap, you can see how tight that is from factory, which is pretty rare for a new car and a stock car. So whilst I'm here, I've got all the wheels off now. I'm just going to take the car up in the air and give you guys a quick little look underneath the car. So looking at the wheel off now, this car is running an adaptive damper system, so that's going to help with ride between comfort and sport modes. Underneath the car, you can see obviously it's got the four-wheel drive rear differential. So up there I can see the main catalytic converter on a downpipe, which comes into an OPF filter here, a big OPF filter, follows down to a resonator, and then another big back box. We are going to be changing the system from cutting here back to here and getting rid of that nasty big back box. It will sound a lot nicer doing that, and it will still be a legal system as we are retaining the catalytic converters and the OPF filters. You can just see by the arms and the subframe of this car, it hasn't quite got the same level as what the M cars have, especially the G Series M cars. Another quick thing to note as well, it is running a almost felt under tray. With a lot of the M cars, you will actually have a metal under tray, so bear that in mind. If you are going quite low with this car, you don't want to take too many hits with that under tray. And just under the bumper here, you can see we've got all the bumper mounting points. These are going to be absolutely perfect when we're developing a OEM fitting splitter. So fitting these caps is going to be nice and simple. Obviously, once you've got the wheel off, you'll see the center cap inside the wheel. Just want to lean it over and give it a quick, just like that. That's popped out. We can throw that in the bin. Hardest part of this is going to be trying to get it out of the box. Give me 2 seconds. So here is the new center cap. As you can see, it's got this little weight, and that counterweights the BMW logo to make sure whenever you let go of it, it's going to sit completely flush and flat. It's going to sit straight. And now to install, all you literally want to do is flip the wheel over, find the hole, carefully push it in, and voila, that's now fitted. Let's give that a big old spin. Repeat the same process on all 4 wheels. Here's one of the BMX Spacers. This is a 12 mil. Traditionally, when you are fitting a spacer, you should do a little bit of work cleaning up around the hub to make sure it looks nice and clean like this. But where this is a brand new car, we haven't got to do that. All I'm going to recommend is putting a little bit of copper grease around the edge of this hub-centric spacer. That way, when you put the spacer on, and off, it's going to be a nice smooth fix. At the moment, it's not too smooth, so I'm going to go grease that up now. Freshly greased. Nice thing about BMX Spacers is you can opt for a locking wheel nut kit. It's not a lot extra and it's well worth getting because it means that you get the extended bolts for locking wheel nuts, so your wheels are not going to get nicked either. I've put the 12mm spacer on first. I think that is going to be perfect. It may be a little bit on the larger side. I would say that is about as perfect as you get, and I think if you go any more, you're going to get a bit of arch poke once the car sits down. I'm going to throw a 12mm on the rear now and see how that looks with a 12-12 setup, and then we'll go grab Sam and see what he thinks. So I've just fit the 12mm spacer on the rear, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not very happy with it. I think it's poking out the arch a little too much. You can see that from here. If we compare that to the front now, the front we've got, with the 12mm, we're getting that flush fitment, whereas you're not getting that with the rear. Okay, so now we've fitted the 12mm on the front and the 10mm on the rear, and now I'm happy because we've got a nice flush fitment with that rear wheel arch. But before I sign that off, I'm gonna have to go grab the boys and make sure that they're ready to sign off that spacer sizing before we tell everyone that that is the best.
Right, Nathan has called in the approval team for us to have a little look at how these spacers look, and I think you've got the fitment bang on.
Yeah, I think 12 front, 10 rear, it doesn't need any more than that, personally, unless you want to go mega aggressive.
I don't think you could go any wider than that. You're going to scrub anyway, especially if you're lowering it. But that is literally flush. Any lower is going to look like a 4x4.
It looks nice as well because the wheels have got like quite a flat face on them, so it kind of just all looks quite seamless all the way down.
This is definitely the setup to go for, 12 and 10. Right, so we just put our measuring eyes on and we can basically see that the front is still poking just a little bit. So we're going to change this out for a 10-10 setup because we actually think that will be the perfect flush fitment. Okay, so we've now decided on the perfect OEM wheel spacer fitment, and that's going to be 10mm, 10mm, and that's going to get the wheel perfectly in the arch just like this. And then if you want to go that one step further and sit the tyre ever so slightly outside the arch, then you can go for a 12mm, 12mm setup. So now the spacers are done, we've got the car back up on the ramp because we're getting on the suspension because that fella over there, Kai, is back in work, back on job, so we're working out how to actually fit the springs because we've not fitted them yet. We were under the influence that the suspension setup would be very similar to the F40. It looks like the front is almost identical, but the rear is actually running a different setup, so we're currently working out how to get that off and get the new springs in. So the M135 has now had its first mods fitted and it's already starting to look a lot better. We have a huge amount in the works for this car, as you guys might have seen in some of our development videos. We've got a full body kit coming. If you are in the market of buying some parts for your F70 M135, check out our website, use code YouTube5 and you'll get a nice discount off of your order. So what I'm gonna do quickly is go and grab Sam. We're gonna go for a quick drive in the car just so you guys can get a bit of an idea of how the car now drives when it's on the IBAC springs. I've not driven the car on this suspension setup, so I don't really know, but Sam will be able to give you the best review in terms of how it felt before to now. So I'm in the car with Sam now. What are you thinking about the part so far? Because these are the first mods.
Yep, first mods are on. The car needed it straight away, to be honest. Like the minute we picked the car up, I think I said straight away, like, it looks good, but it needs mods. So the first ones we've done, obviously we've got the centre caps, which I love. I had them on my 140 as well.
He loves the centre caps.
I don't know what it is. I think they just look. I actually, funnily enough, saw it for the first time like 3 years ago, and I was like, any BM I get, I'm definitely gonna get them. So yeah, I'm buzzing. I got them on, and then obviously the armrest, which is needed because the one that comes stock is a bit boring, but it does match the rest of the interior as well.
Yeah,
I'm sure Nate will flash up some B-roll of what it actually looks like. Springs are obviously, most people when you get springs on a car, they're always quite sceptical about it changing the way it drives and stuff like that. Obviously some springs do. I would say so far these springs have kind of held up quite nicely in terms of the OEM. They're a little bit more bouncy, as you just saw my head more up and down, but overall they haven't made near enough any difference to the car from what I can feel. I've not had a chance driving the car hard yet, so that might be a different story. But yeah, overall it keeps the bounce quite, it keeps it quite subtle.
It's quite a smooth ride still.
Yeah,
like, this car was quite a relatively bouncy car for the style of car it was anyway. So I think like putting these on it hasn't made.
No, again, if you see in the first video, there's a bit when we drive just up here, we literally bounce right in the air. Very stable and yeah, I'd say overall it's not done too much. And actually the fitment of the springs, obviously, which is the most important part, is actually really, really nice.
Yeah, it's perfect. The front is ever so slightly lifted, but I think IBAC have kind of done that deliberately to allow, if people are putting splitters and stuff on the car,
yeah,
even the car stock was slightly higher at the front.
Yeah, so, which is kind of strange, but I guess with like these smaller cars, it probably makes sense because you are using them more as an everyday sort of thing, rather than like a G82 M4. I mean, you could use it every day, but if it's more of a performance car, you're going to have more performance stance.
That's it, yeah.
Something we found with the Spacers as well, we've done a bit of testing to see what would be the best size, and before we actually done anything, we was probably thinking around a 12-15, but we settled on a 10-10, and I really believe you don't need any more than that. Another little mod that my car actually come D-badged because I hate the M135 badge that comes from BMW. So you'll see as well, we put a genuine M135i badge on, and then took the eye off. So it's actually a real M135 badge. M135, yeah. It's actually a real M135 badge, and it actually looks really smart on the back.
It goes really well.
It looks really nice. So.
I said to her, like, at the time of when that got fitted earlier, I don't know why, but having a badge on the back just makes the car look so much better.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like when you see like a D-badged M3 or something. It's
it sounds a bit like, I don't know the word, but you kind of want people to know
that it
like
is a 135. Yeah,
100%.
You're a trendsetter now, Sam.
That's it. I'm starting.
So if anyone does that, you've got Sam to thank. So once again, thank you for watching the video. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and we're going to be back with some more content. There's going to be a full build series as per usual, so make sure you subscribe. Thank you everyone, and see you later.